Hello, everybody. We are live again. Alive. We're here.
Still
And
alive.
it's been a minute since we talked, but we're here. And
We're
we have a
here.
wonderful guest today. Of course, we
Yes,
have
we do.
Renelle. Oh, wait, this way.
I'm a
Right there.
guest. I'm
Oh,
a
no, you're
guest.
not a guest. I intertwined my sentences, and so it didn't come out right. But
You know,
you
that question next to how old I am or how pretty I am,
don't
just
answer
right.
that.
Just right.
You're beautiful.
So, this is my friend Elizabeth, and I can't think of a more warmer, more wonderful, more enlightened, a woman filled with so much love. She shines a light that is so powerful that it emanates from her soul. It's just incredible. It just shines, and everyone that meets her says the same thing. Her clients, her family. She's adored, and I am her biggest fan.
That's
You're so kind, Renelle.
that's
I
amazing.
am your biggest fan. Elizabeth, tell
It's nice to meet you,
people.
by the way. This is our first meeting, guys.
Yes.
We haven't spoken before. That's per usual, I think, and I like it. So, Elizabeth, it's really nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to turn on a light.
I'm
Go
so
ahead.
glad to be here.
Elizabeth, tell people a little bit about what you do, and then tell them exactly what's going on in your life today
Uh,
and why I'm having you on.
I do energy healing work. I brought the body talk system to Utah in 2002 and taught the body talk system for a few years. I've studied many things over the years and
Yes, you have.
absolutely love the work that I do. And and today my mother transitioned to heaven. She is now free and one of my angels, and it was quite the process. It felt it felt long, but in reality it wasn't. But when someone's suffering, it just feels every day feels like forever.
Yeah. I thought it
Today,
was interesting what you said earlier today when I had called you, and you said that she was vibrant. When was it the other day? And
A week ago.
a,
So
a week ago, and super happy and
uh,
alive.
cheaper by the dozen, eating yogurt with granola in it, and I was she's never gonna die.
And so that people know, it's called the enlightened stage right before someone's passing. They'll have that moment of incredible aliveness again. They'll
I'm
radiate, they'll eat, they'll
I'm
look healthy.
the oldest of 10, and so a lot of my siblings had come to, say goodbye. And I think that that time when you're with your loved ones is, especially for someone who's getting ready to transition, it's a enlivening time, I think.
It must have been difficult though too, having the whole family there, and then she looks healthy and she's kicking back into life, and you're going, wait, I'm confused.
Well, it was, I know it's been an interesting time. My daughter, youngest daughter, her husband felt in, I think it was January, he had the impression it was like, you need to go visit before the end of March.
Wow.
And
wow.
so and my sister needed, because my mother, my sister here in Texas has been her caretaker for about 2 years now.
Wow.
And so when she would, go on trips or go somewhere, she would need someone to come stay with my mother. And so my daughter got that opportunity. She came with her husband and their three children and had a wonderful week. I mean, they went and ate pizza on Pi Day, and
Wow.
um, and then they left on a Saturday. And that next week, my mother declined so quickly and suddenly. And then, less than a month later, she's gone. And so I'm
Wow.
glad that they listened to that prompting and had the opportunity to come.
Me too.
Well, let's reword that. Today she graduated.
She did. She graduated.
I
And
love that somebody had picked up that language that I put out there about, what was it, 4 years ago. Today was her graduation day from
yeah,
this mortal schooling
yes,
and going now to the
yes. And
university.
someone said something about that graduation, but it can be difficult to be born into this life, and it can be difficult leaving this life. Both entry and exit can be challenging
and traumatic at times.
Hard. Change is very hard.
Yeah, my when my dad died, like it was more sudden, and it was a different experience. But again, everyone did get to go except for me because I had COVID at the time. So yeah, you know how that goes.
Yes, in fact, my mother, she graduated 2 days short of 4 years from my father. So it was during.
Wow.
And he left very suddenly. His heart, he got into a warm tub and said, "I feel so good," and then had a heart attack and died and was just gone.
Oh my goodness, so fast.
Very fast.
Wow.
Now you've dealt with, in fact, I think that's how we met, was at an IONS meeting, wasn't it?
Actually, it was, you were doing a presentation in someone's home. And
oh, that's right.
I
Do you remember who was there?
I don't remember. I bought like 20 of your books and I gave them to
I remember that.
gave them to everyone. I
had them on my lap like this. And by the way, if anyone wants to buy my book, please contact us here. It's called The Burning Within. It's a compelling story.
Yes.
So yes, we met at that talk.
Yep.
Jodi Arias, does that ring a bell?
No, it doesn't.
Jodi Arias was on trial for killing her boyfriend.
Oh my!
And Jodi was there that night.
Oh.
And we actually got him, because she was stalking him. We got him to leave, and I kept Jodi busy.
Wow.
So I couldn't believe it when I saw her on the news, but it came to me today, and I was like, whoa. But back to your mom, what a beautiful time to choose here on the equinox and the day before the great eclipse.
Yeah.
Sacred time.
The timing was so perfect. We had planned a Zoom, with me and my siblings, and she passed it. It was 8:57 Utah time.
Wow.
57 Texas time.
This morning?
This morning.
Wow, thank you for coming on.
So and so we knew that they were going to be coming to get her body, and while we were having that Zoom, they came, and so we were able to, share that time with all the siblings who weren't here.
Now, did you feel her presence after she passed, or?
Yes, and
wow.
And so this morning, right before she passed, I was, because every night I, have been praying with her and saying, just praying. My prayer has been, let it be quick and easy. And it sure wasn't feeling quick.
I get that.
You just were being a drama queen, inviting everybody to come, and
when they're in that phase of just not being able to eat and their body is shutting down. She had a very strong body.
Wow. I remember meeting her.
It was, 2 days of not being able to eat, not being able to really drink. And so we were just, keep doing everything we could to keep her comfortable.
Wow.
And at night we would sing. She loved singing. We would sing with her.
How beautiful.
Yeah, that is.
Sing hymns and the songs that she loved to sing with my father. And and so as I would pray with her, I would always pray, let her have an easy, quick release. And I'd say, Mom, it's okay. You can go whenever, when, you don't need to hang around and on our account, you are free to go. and and my sister called, and so she was doing a little, video. Just, and my mom couldn't respond at that time. I mean, she got so she couldn't even open her eyes,
Did
and
she have the death gurgle or anything like
no,
that?
didn't do
Oh,
any of that.
it go peacefully.
But and so what happened is her heart rate had been really fast for days. For days, it was like
Really?
in the 30s. I mean, it was really fast.
Oh.
And so then this morning, my sister noticed had gone down to 12. And then
whoa.
all of this was very fast. It happened very quickly. And then went down to 9. And my other sister, she said, come and get me, if it looks like it's, something's happening with mom. And so when it got down to 9, I thought I better go wake up Shake, because, she's going to want to come in here. It, could be soon.
Yeah.
So
you have a large family, if I recall right.
Well, like I said, I'm the oldest of 10. So
10. That's.
Yep.
I'm the fourth child, little fourth child syndrome. But 10, fourth child of 5. Sorry, again with the sentences.
It's a very large family.
That's amazing.
Your story is amazing. How you came to this country, and Elizabeth, I'm so deeply impressed. You don't even have an accent.
Well, so, my father came when he was 18, and I know people would tell me I had an accent just from growing up with my father, who had such an accent. But and my mother was a Wyoming ranch girl, so
where was he from?
They loved he's Armenian, and he grew up in Aleppo, Syria, and then came when he was 18 to this country.
Aleppo.
Yeah, and he actually joined. Well, his grandfather joined the Mormon Church in Syria.
Really? Wow. In Syria?
That's a whole amazing story. In fact, Saturday morning, there was a, let's see, Cat Perry, one of the, I can't think of his first name at the moment, but he did a little TV spot on Turkey, and my sister was actually she was one of the 5 in his TV spot.
No kidding.
Wow.
It was on KBYU, so it was fun to hear that.
That's awesome.
Did you see that one talk that was given on how we are like crystals and light?
Oh, that makes total sense to me. Mm-hmm.
That was a beautiful talk. It was given in conferences. It just really surprised me.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Today.
So I missed a lot of today with just everything that was happening.
I could imagine. You had some things going on.
Yeah.
It was
so awesome, because that's when he brought up graduation, that our light graduates.
Yeah.
And light cleaves unto light.
So I love to hear you talk about Onlyranelle, because my youngest son Jesse, as you know, he graduated when he was 16. He had a heart condition, as does
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, 2 other.
Wow.
Oh no, she froze.
Oh, I so want, Elizabeth, if you could still hear us, want to hear you talk about Jessie. Jessie, I'll never forget, she was working on me at the office, and Jessie came in, just this gorgeous looking young man.
I'm walking around. I know the connection here at my sister's house is a little spotty at times. But
Welcome back.
So yeah, back.
That's something you and I have in common. We both lost children.
Yes, yes. But Jesse's light, his light shows up in photographs in the most incredible way I've ever seen. I've never seen any other pictures like the ones that his light has produced. And
tell us how, because I was overwhelmed by a picture. It's a little going, just to appease you. But when I saw the picture, I was stunned. You were thinking about him, wanting to know if he was okay, which as parents we do that even if we know they're okay
Hmm.
and we know they've graduated onto a place that's so much more breathtaking, more beautiful and freeing. But you were at a restaurant, is that right?
Yes, with my youngest daughter, and we weren't actually really even thinking about anything at the time. Um, oh, in fact, here, let me just show you.
The spottiness is that spot. Apparently,
It's okay.
yeah, the picture doesn't want to be seen. No, I'm just
No,
jumping
no,
in.
no. This picture is so profound. It really took me back. Um, you know how you talk about ghost? Well, that it just the opposite in that the light was so bright and you could see the image of a person sitting in that booth in light.
Oh wow, like
And
and it's
and
an
it was
actual
her
photo.
son. Uh-huh.
Okay, I need to
Yep.
see this.
And so I think that's what she was trying to achieve was getting that picture online with
Yeah,
us.
I definitely want to see it. Elizabeth, I see you connected, but for some reason your phone uh, camera didn't connect.
And
Okay,
sadly I
there
don't
we
see
go. Got
her.
it. She's in.
There you are.
Welcome
Hi
back.
Elizabeth. Welcome back.
I know.
Are you there? Oh no.
The other spot was less spotty. Maybe take the picture down and take it over to the other spot if you can still hear me, Elizabeth. She probably can't. Um,
Elizabeth. So that people understand the kind of work that she does with
yeah, I would
body
do. That's what I was
body.
going to ask. Yeah.
It's it's powerful work. It's kind of like what you do with physical therapy, except that you're doing it with the spirit. So you're touching areas of the body where the spirit is either the light's not as powerful or areas where it's more powerful. And what Elizabeth does with energy is she shifts all the darkness out and brings in the light to heal. Because even if you're sick, and I wanted to talk to you about that, Elizabeth, when someone passes, it takes it takes a bit to adjust that you are in a new place, just like you would if you were here and
Hmm.
you were visiting a hotel room
Because you're
and
still the same
new,
person. It's not like you.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an adjustment. And Elizabeth, in her work, allows the process of healing to happen at a higher rate and awareness so that you're not going through that slow process of adjusting and your healing.
That would be nice. So Elizabeth, I do want to see that photo. If it goes paused again, or the
This,
other spot seemed better, take the picture down and
yeah,
go and show it.
it's right behind me. It's a rug that's in the church museum. My father's family made it in Syria. It has like the prophets and temples.
Oh
It's
wow,
this fun
Wow.
hand woven wool rug. So
that's
Oh my
beautiful,
goodness.
and it's in
the
the
church
church.
church museum.
Museum.
Wow.
I
I
wanted
have
to,
like 10 questions here. So because it's very interesting to me. So one would be uh, your healing process or what you do. I want to hear about how that process works. Second is I want to hear the story about your, I think she froze again, but how he joined the church in Syria. That is an interesting one.
in a city that
It
no
would,
longer exists. Aleppo is just
yeah,
pretty much just cement.
it is now.
It's pretty shocking when you see it how absolutely totaled where millions of people lived to absolute dust.
Yeah, I
It's
what
devastating.
happened in Syria over the past 15 years is is hard to stomach. There's so much that has happened throughout the world, but in this that was rough. She is back.
The
Hello.
the internet has been just it's bad here. It's been bad all day. I don't know
The
what to do. It's my
The
sister.
other
Well,
spot seemed better. So if
we're
this,
still, here's what's going on before this eclipse. We will have moments where throughout our country where there will be sunspots coming in and out of the flaring that happens. So there will be drop offs, just so you're aware.
that's
But
scientific. If you guys go and look it up and see, you can see the effects that happens when an eclipse occurs. The
it,
ionosphere actually changes.
because of the
And
magnetic forcing. And so when that happens, that magnetic, like with the magnet, if you're going like this in and out,
yeah,
you can feel that power. You can do it actually with your own hands right now to feel your own energy range. It's just slowly go in and out
yeah,
because we're
I can feel
magnetic.
that.
Do you feel it?
I do. Yeah, and I've done that before, but that's the energy between my hands interacting.
Hmm.
It's no, it's your light and your hands. And the person who has the strongest is Elizabeth. I've never met anyone who's magnetic force in her hands. She was born to it,
That's
and
my
she's so powerful.
That's
the
wonderful.
gift that I asked for, but little I didn't realize what I was actually asking for when I asked for it.
Be careful what you pray for.
So when
Uh,
it came, yeah, and anyway, and Heavenly Father showed me, helped me to recognize it through other people, and I just am so grateful for it. But just and so an example, like just in this trip, just tonight, my sister is very allergic to cats, and her eyes were starting to itch. And
Oh,
in Body Talk, we have a technique to help with allergies, and so and we talk about tapping out because we use tapping. We tap the head, the heart, and over the gut. And she was holding, and then I was just holding different places on her head, and she'd put her saliva in her navel to help her body recognize what was going on in her body and the allergies.
that's
And
interesting. In like
as I was,
saliva into her navel. How
because
that actually works because
I
it's the DNA in
I just
your
never heard it.
saliva
I know,
actually re-enters the place that you were born in.
yeah, it seems strange. We have a
Well, that's awesome.
we have a whole bunch of nerve endings right there by the navel. It's like our personal little lab. And so it reads that saliva, what's going on, and then the body. And as I was tapping, her eyes stopped itching. And she was just
That's
amazed.
amazing.
Eyes don't itch anymore.
I can swear to you that Elizabeth has saved my life on several accounts. And I
Wow.
mean saved my life. Because I've been so in and out of illness. And Elizabeth is just so powerful. Even feeling her today was interesting. I felt your energy today, Elizabeth. And it was right at the time your mom was passing. And I guess this is why I'm bringing this up
Hmm.
is when you get those feelings, don't delay.
Hmm.
Follow, follow, follow.
Yes.
And I kept getting this profound feeling that something was wrong and I needed to get a hold of you. And I was stunned to hear that. I mean, wasn't it just, what, a few minutes
Yeah.
after she passed?
Wow.
Barely, yeah, had just happened recently.
Barely happened, yeah.
Yep.
And I said, Elizabeth, you have to come on because you and I have gone through these mourning process of people leaving.
Hmm.
And even though we know about the near death experience, and even though it can be so powerful and empowering and it gives us a sense of peace, it's still painful.
Oh,
Yeah.
because
It's still hard.
you love them and you miss them. You want to be able to speak to them, hug them, have them, smell them, have them close. And so the missing and the loving doesn't ever go away.
Or the companionship or the friendship that our children bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
When it
least
turns
the
to
good
this,
ones.
the
Just
only
kidding.
senses that we can connect with are our spiritual ones.
Hmm.
That is profound, but we're tactile,
Yeah.
individuals, and so we wanna touch and feel and hold and, like you said, smell all
Well,
of it.
Jesse's so funny. He has such a sense of humor.
He
So
does.
so was so desperate to connect with him. And I was at my office. It was probably a few months after he had graduated, and I ran down to my car to get something. There was nobody on the street, nobody around me. And you know how when someone steps on the back of your shoe and it makes you jerk? Well, that happened and it broke my sandal. It was a Doc Martin heavy duty, not cheap sandal, ripped one of the straps out, and my shoes flop, and I'm looking
Holy
around,
cow.
I remember those shoes.
what just happened? And then I was like, I could hear Jesse going, Mom, it's me. My attention. I'm like, okay, okay.
Your own personal Loki.
You actually heard him, which was so
Wow.
cool.
Oh, you audibly heard him.
No, I've
You
never,
felt him?
for me, the way it's like when he communicates with me, I just get these downloads, these incredible, powerful downloads. In fact, just recently
That's a good way to put it.
and it
Data.
doesn't come in words, it just comes in knowing. I have to put it into the words
Yeah.
to convey the knowing that's there, but it's so powerful. And just recently,
Goodness.
friends of mine who live just down the street, they're in my ward, their 16-year-old son, almost the same age that Jesse was, and in fact he would come to our home and watch our animals and water my garden and take care of our home when we travel. And he ended his life, which was just, we were so not ready, and it was just such a shock to everybody, to his parents. And what happened with that is I was overcome with emotion and with the spirit, and it was like when Jesse had passed, I just couldn't stop crying, and I was like, what is this, what is happening, all this emotion.
And you didn't know that anything had happened yet.
Well, no, I knew. So I
Oh,
found out. So it happened on a Thursday morning. I found out on a Sunday at church, seeing his
okay.
parents. I just was overcome. And so as when I asked, I mean, no, I didn't even finish the question, and I got a huge download. And it was like Jesse was there, and I knew that he was with Isaac, and this message came through. It's like, you need to let Isaac's parents know, this and this and this. I wrote the letter. It was almost like parts of it were like taking dictation.
Wow.
I'd get ready to write a word, and it's like, no, use this word. And so I wrote the letter, I delivered it, and because I knew that I couldn't wait, that I had to do it right away, because otherwise the dark side attacks me and is like, oh, you're stupid. That's just your
Yeah, this
imagination.
is
No,
bad timing. You
no,
don't want to
no,
do that.
But you're they're not going to want to hear.
Yeah.
So I've learned that I can't wait. I have to act on those messages right away.
So they were essentially with you, you're saying, and like
Yeah.
the urgency I'm sure you felt because they want their parents to be okay. They still care and love and look
Oh,
over us.
yes. And
So
it
they
was,
would.
yeah,
their feelings don't change.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
their
He was
feelings are very
just
prevalent and strong.
so sorry for the pain that they're suffering.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it was like, again, another huge download. And it's like, Jesse was assigned to help him. I mean, of course, he had family,
Wow.
other people, but Jesse was assigned specifically because I knew his parents. And so they knew that it was a way that I could help get that message there. They are so eager to get messages to us any way they can, through anybody that they can.
And any
And
ways they can. It could be, a cat brushing up next to you, and
Yes.
suddenly you feel,
Or music.
oh,
Yes.
or music. Yes.
so in other words, believe it. Believe the feelings that you have that are sudden in
Ye-
those situations, especially when they're a feeling of presence or a feeling of
Yes. Yes. Trust it.
memory. No, that's not the word. Like you,
An input. It's an
yeah,
emotional and spiritual awareness
Yeah,
that
a
comes to your
connection.
thinking just suddenly. It's like a positive thought that goes up into your mind immediately.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no heaviness about it, there's no weirdness about it. It's a positive thought that comes up into your thinking.
Yeah.
Is that quick?
And one of the things that Jesse let me know through, it was someone else I'd met who had a gift. She said, he says that you're missing things, which just frustrated me at the time. I was like, what? What am I missing? Don't just,
Don't tell me what.
Just
Don't tell
like
me
a
my
child.
business.
and then don't what it and
Just,
so and
I can
so I
hear my son's doing that.
and so his light, had been showing up, and I thought, well, maybe I wonder if I've missed his light in other pictures. And so I went back and looked, and sure enough, when early on after his graduation, he had a bunch of art. I didn't realize what an artist he was. There's so much we don't know about our loved ones until they've graduated. And then from all the people that love them and know them, their friends, whatever, you learn so much more about a person after they've graduated.
Think but it's amazing how we're so multifaceted, and what we present to one person may be different to another.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
And
all
so
do
we
it.
get,
It's all
we
we all
get
have
to
different
see
hats,
this,
different faces.
we get
Yeah.
to see this beautiful diamond when the person is graduated.
Yes.
So I have a question on the light that you've talked about. You've mentioned when it comes to the pictures. Is this like something that you practice often, or
Oh
are you
no, it
taking an
just
actual picture,
happened.
It
or?
just Audrey and I, so we're at the restaurant,
Mhm.
and we'd eaten some, and she said, I'm tired, I'm going to lay down. And for whatever reason, I said, well, let me take your picture. And the first miracle was my phone that I was taking the picture with was so slow in taking pictures. It was like, take a picture, wait at least 30 seconds.
And stay still, otherwise you'll end up with like three
Don't
faces.
move.
And so it was just so slow, and from picture to picture. But this time it was like fast, boom, 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 taking, and because she was like, I took her picture, she's like, no, don't take my picture. So she's like, she puts her coat over her head and lays down.
Don't look at me.
For whatever
I'm
reason,
melting.
I kept taking pictures. It was nighttime. We weren't by any windows. There was a clock on the wall behind where we were sitting. And so it looked like a glare. I mean, because I'm looking, at the phone and the pictures that are coming up, and there's this light that I didn't see with my eyes, but it was showing up in the pictures.
Wow.
And it just gets brighter and huger. I mean, it's like taking up more than half the picture. And finally I'm like, and I'm angling way in because I think it's a glare off the clock or something.
Yeah.
And so finally it's so bright and so big, and I'm like, oh, this isn't a glare, this is Jessie. So I said,
And it was.
oh, Jessie. Popped her head up, and as I was taking the pictures, I caught, so her face popped up, and it was more than half covered. The light was so bright, covering half of her face, and just that bright.
Oh wow.
Covering more than half the picture. And it just, like I said, I've never seen anything like it.
And I could see the image of the outline of his face in that picture that you showed me.
And then there were other pictures where he showed up in the rainbow. Anyway, there were just.
So why would it show up in the camera and not with your eyes?
I don't know how that worked.
That's
When
interesting.
my grandson died a couple years ago, it was immediately after he died. That night, the car was filled with kids. And of course, even though they're adult kids, they'll still battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I got a little bit put out and said, look, this is all too much. And I thought a cop was behind me. Have a cop behind you. I don't care how clean you may be. I don't know about you guys, but I panic. I do. I just panic.
I used to. Now I just joke with them.
Oh, do you? I just like, oh, am I driving perfect? Oh, did I miss the sign? Did I, Anyway, I just pulled over and I got out, and I noticed a big, beautiful rainbow that was reaching from one side to the next. And on one end of the rainbow was a big sign that said "End of the road,"
Wow.
The
and
words it said themselves, like,
uh-huh,
wow.
on a sign that said "End of the road."
Oh, okay. So it came.
Yeah, it
It's an
was a
actual sign.
sign. It
It
was an
wasn't like
actual
in
sign.
the air. Okay,
No, no, no.
got
But it
it.
was, so
That's
there's a
beautiful.
full rainbow, and one side said "End of the road,"
Wow.
Wow.
and I just knew that with him saying,
Yep.
"It's okay, I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
and everything's going to be okay, Grandma," because I was very close to Blake, very, very close to Blake. We just love we were just connected. You know how you just have a grandchild. I know
Yes.
you don't, Mike, but
I don't, but I have a child, five of
yeah,
them.
that you're connected with. That
Yeah,
you, it's a connection.
yeah.
It's hard to describe.
So how
Especially
old
the
was
mothers.
yes? How old was Blake Renell?
Blake was only 17.
Mm-hmm. That's so hard.
He was so young. I
Mm-hmm.
still to this day don't know how he died.
Oh.
Um, but it's okay. I know he's happy because
Mm.
you know since then he's visited, so I know he's doing well. What's hard is when they finally do realize where they are and they've said their goodbyes to everyone on this side. It's amazing how quickly they adjust over there. And I having a near death experience, know when that moment is because I remember in the original accident with the plane crash, my grandparents both came to say goodbye, and I knew that was the last time that I was going to feel their presence, and
Well,
it was the last time.
well, in fact, my mother, yes, she was. She had. They were visiting her. The last 2 weeks, she would, wake up and well, and she would be saying their names. She'd be saying, "Are mom and dad still here?" I mean, she was definitely. The veil was so thin,
Mm.
and it was just so precious to be with her during
In
the.
the presence of that, and it's really actually more common than not.
Yes.
So when you have family that you're with that's passing, just know that that is really common to have them reach out to people who have passed that
Yes.
are there to escort them into that process of going through the tunnel and
Yes.
into the light.
Yeah. In fact, one time she was looking past, I wasn't there at this time, but she was looking past my sister and she said, "There are way too many people here."
It's a party.
And I told her, I said, "Mom," I said, they're getting everyone together. There's going to be such a big party for you. And she looked at me. She said, "You really think so?" I said, "Oh, yes."
They are very interested in us. My experiences with my father in the past 3 years, since his passing, has been uh, they are very active in our
Oh,
lives. Those that they love us,
That
they've gone
love
on,
is so strong. It's an
and
energy
they
that emanates through all eternity.
yeah, and they will love us
oh, yes.
for going into that life. And it's our connection with the fathers, and of course others that have passed. But um, yeah,
I,
that's
I
beautiful.
wanted to share a story, and I hope you guys don't mind, from a near death experiencer um, that I listened to this week.
Okay.
And she told me a very beautiful story that when she had her near death experience, much like I had, I got an opportunity to know what prayer was like and how our prayers are answered on the other side. Um, but I wanted to share this especially with you, Elizabeth. Um, when we pray for somebody else, they literally receive that prayer. And there is literally a gift of light that's given to that person individually. That prayer is answered. No matter how the answer of that prayer is answered, that prayer directly goes to that person.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And when babies die, um, when I saw it, was there's this beautiful room and these mothers that are just beautiful angels, that their body is not suffering the pain. They're actually out of body in these beautiful white cribs, and the room is just made of beautiful, different colored crystals
Wow, that's
as a part of the wall.
so amazing. I love that.
And
Hmm.
so there's this rainbow of colors shining from the light, and I remember being there going, where is this light coming from? Where is the source? And we are the source.
Wow.
And these babies are so innocent and so prayed for, because we pray for children, and sometimes our pets.
Wait, did you just read that?
What?
Okay, so Lula sent a message like literally 10 seconds before you said that about pets. What about animals and pets who are suffering here?
Because we pray for them and they feel them. Their energy feels it, and that person feels it. If the person's alive, then that person can feel that prayer individually.
Wow.
Um, and
Even
the
if they're
more that
aware
we
that that's what
pray,
it is or not, right?
right,
That's what you're
they're
saying? Wow.
going to feel it. So you think it's anonymous, and it's not. So be aware when you pray, because they are literally being infused with your light and
Wow,
your connection.
that's awesome.
One of the things I got to hear today, and one of the talks that I heard in our church and conference, and it was beautiful to hear that come back. Um, because when my grandmother was on the other side before I came back, she said, when you meet people, Renelle, and I think I've talked about this with both of you before, look them in the eye.
Yeah.
Look them in the eye, because in that moment that you do, you will feel and you will know there's an eternal connection.
Yeah.
And that same knowing and feeling is the same knowing and feeling when you pray, or when you think about that person, um, when they've passed. And
Mhm.
what's so beautiful is, one of the things that I saw is how comforting those from the other side reach across the veil to comfort those in mortality who have lost them. And
Mm.
there's a sense of, there's one thing that the darkness can never do, never, ever do, and that's duplicate peace.
Yeah.
And so they can duplicate all kinds of things and lie like crazy.
Yeah.
But if an answer comes in peace, or a person's soul comes to a state of peace,
Be still and know that I am God.
there is an angel in your presence, and someone has prayed for you.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
So, Elizabeth, when you are thinking about, because it's so hard, I know,
Mm.
when you lose somebody, even though it's been a long road for them. And I know for my children, I've been in and out of hospice now for 20 years.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And it's been so difficult, because they've, even this last time with the house fire, it's like, do we go? Do we go visit her? Because they're not sure.
Yeah.
Is this really the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it's always hard. So even though it's expected, um, still go, still act upon it, because I don't know whether there's a closer time
Yeah.
than
Well, and
death to fill the veil.
how hard for you to go through that so much.
Oh,
It's a hard place.
Yeah.
I mean,
very painful.
I have such respect, and oh, my heart just, yeah, it is such a hard process.
It's to have doctors come in and give you that quiet look. Is there a family that we can call right now to have here?
And that's happened to you multiple times?
Multiple.
Wow.
I remember the very first time
Yeah.
they called my my husband, they went out of the room to call. They said, we want to make sure you have family members here before you leave the office. And um, I'll never forget the moment they left, I snuck out another door.
Wow.
And I ran and ran and ran down the street, um, going how, and my mind was just racing. How am I going to tell my children? How am I going to prepare them for this moment? I do not want this cold doctor's office to do it.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so after running for about 30 minutes, I turned around, walked back, and of course, the doctor's office was calling my phone like crazy, my cell phone.
Like, where'd you go?
Why did you leave? I think
We
they
told
were
you
afraid.
you were leaving this life. Did you go? Where? Huh?
We don't want you to take your life, I
Woo.
think is more what they were
Yeah,
thinking,
that
you
makes
know?
sense. Yeah.
And so it was interesting because I got to handle it the way that it gave me time to think about what I wanted to say to them and what they would be
And you
experiencing.
just were running.
And I was just running. I couldn't stop running.
Wow.
That's how
You've
I
told me
felt
that story
after.
before, and that's really like dramatic. And
Yeah, when the house fire happened, it was very hard. I wanted to run,
Mm.
and my body wasn't carrying me,
mm,
but I wanted to keep running and not stop because I knew that death was behind me. Does that make any sense?
I
Yeah.
think so. The imagery makes sense to
It's
me.
like it felt like it was chasing me, and
Yeah.
Mm.
if I could physically run away, somehow I could physically get further away from it.
Wow. That's amazing.
We do that with darkness, in our lives or pressure.
Mm.
So it's fight or flight. For me, it's always flight. I shut down or I isolate
Yeah.
or,
Or freeze and just yeah.
yeah.
I've experienced that with you now. I've
I
seen
think
it.
Elizabeth has as well.
Getting
Right,
a hold of you
Elizabeth?
is like sometimes. So I
Oh,
understand.
this week my kids just about lost it, but it's been difficult because Elizabeth, you don't know this, but I've had these sores all over my body and I've had them for 6 months. I think I did tell you, and they have not healed, and I'm
No,
now concerned it's cancer.
we need to get together. We haven't succeeded
I
recently.
know, right?
Yes.
But anyway, it's hard, um, because these sores are on top of scars and
Mm.
scarring on top of scars.
Oh, that's so painful.
And
Yeah.
my thought has been, is this cancer? And because my dad died from melanoma and my mother had basal cell carcinoma.
Mm.
So she had a good chunk of her face taken out when they took that just one little spot. And I have it all over my entire body. And
Wow.
so my thought is it time? Um, and I knew these days in the next 24 hours are the most sacred time, even for, it's a beautiful time for the Navajo and the Hopi people.
Hmm.
I thought that, I just hope you don't mind me sharing this with you.
No.
They will not go outside and look at the sun. They feel that this is a sacred
While
time
an eclipse is happening, that's
during
right.
an eclipse,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
They will not go out and look at, how the moon is blocking the sun, um, because they feel that anything that the sun is a sacred symbol for them.
Hmm.
And I couldn't help but think that this was Jesus Christ who came. And during that time of darkness when they can't see him, they go through the sacred period where the temperature actually, by the way, drops in our atmosphere
Wow.
immediately.
Hmm.
In fact, NASA is sending off a rocket
Many
to gauge that temperature.
and then drones. They already sent the rocket, or no wait, they're doing it a little bit beforehand. But they're sent all kinds of stuff. It's going to be
Yeah,
Yeah.
to do
a
some
very studied
scientific study.
situation. Yeah.
But It's that moment when the sun is not there to emanate the warmth and the light.
Right.
And so at some point in their history, that became a prevalent and prominent part of their belief and their culture. That when an eclipse comes, it means that he's returning. The sun is returning.
Wow.
And it's a sacred time to be
That is
still.
very profound.
Yeah.
But we also know that an eclipse, so Christ often talked about the cosmos over and over again, that time. And look, when we think about time and the date, and I've talked about this before with you, Mike, is that
Mhm.
we all have to acknowledge that Jesus is the Christ. Do you know how? The moment we're born. We're
Oh,
born in 19 something or 2000 and something after Christ, what?
after his birth. Well, near enough his birth.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all of us, no matter what religion you are, even if you were to look at the date today, the date and the year is what date and year since his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no matter what religion you are, you have to acknowledge that Jesus is the Christ.
That's right.
And then and every knee shall bow.
Shall bow humbly and know that. When you realize that and know that, your life is never the same.
Hmm.
And it may have already happened sometime in your life and you've forgotten, because the world works that way. The distractions
Yeah.
that
As
keeps
time
us
goes
away.
on, our minds get focused on other things, and these experiences sometimes fade into the background until they're brought back up again by what I believe is the Holy Spirit can bring those memories back at the right moment, and I think that's beautiful, but
And the
it's
world,
hard.
the way that it is such a distraction
Yeah.
away from the sacred moment. And I don't want to take too much of your time, Elizabeth,
Oh no,
but
I'm
this sacred moment of being able to remember those songs that you sang to your mother.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Um, it's just such a beautiful thing knowing they're about to cross. And you can, because a song is always, no matter what religion you are from, whether it's Muslim, what do the Muslims do when they offer prayer?
They chant and
They
say prayer.
sing.
Yeah, they sing.
They sing. Every song is a prayer to heaven. And every song is recognized in everything over there because the blades of grass sing praises to God. The
Mm-hmm.
trees sing. And they all have distinct male or female qualities.
Wow.
And they all have, we know this now, science has proven that trees have intelligence and
Mm-hmm.
they talk to each other in a forest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, we shouldn't be afraid to do that with our kids, is take them to a forest and have them talk to the trees
Mm-hmm.
or hug a tree. And
Yeah.
yet we get
Hug a
so
tree.
involved analytically with our brains and so much going on in the world around us, we forget to get in touch with the grass,
So everybody
with the
remember,
sun,
take time to hug a tree.
or listen to water.
Yeah.
Julius, who died of COVID, was a dear friend of mine, and he was, I don't know, did you get a chance to meet him, Elizabeth?
I remember
Julius,
you.
Julius Chavez?
I remember you talking about him.
Yeah, he was a Hopi elder and a shaman
I actually
healer for the Hopi people.
get to go, and there was a ceremony one night that I went with with you.
Yes, and he was there.
Yeah.
He was directing that. It was actually the equinox. It was the spring equinox, where what we're doing right now. That's what's so beautiful about this eclipse. It's not only just falling, at a date. The date is that it's right on what date, guys?
Yeah.
We
Right.
celebrate Christ
Yeah, right near his birthday.
Yep.
his birthday and his resurrection,
Yep.
Yep.
and the spring equinox.
Yeah.
And there's a comet that is coming through that
Yeah.
can be seen. And there's two conjunctive planets that are going to be hugging each other
Yep. And then
in
two
the
other
sky.
planets that you can see as they're in an alignment, which
Yeah.
I'm reading these articles that are talking about this. Maybe we read the same ones, but goodness, it's
Yeah. A lot happening right now.
there is a lot happening right now, and the stars and the cosmos is speaking
Yeah.
like
Like
the
speaking,
will of God. This is
Yes.
so. I mean,
remember before we
it's
had
not a small
clocks
thing.
and watches, people used to look at what time it was by what?
The
Or
stars,
direction, the
Yeah.
stars.
sun. Yep.
When the
And
world could actually see the stars.
it's like kids don't know how to go out and play because we've given them cell phones.
Yeah.
So they haven't engaged their imagination, they've engaged their analytical minds.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and looked at some of these new games, and I'm sure they're fun.
They
But
are.
you know what? They're all versions still of the same being in a rocket ship and shooting the rocks going by. Do you remember that first one?
Well,
Ever so
yeah,
long
the one that
ago?
was do 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 do.
Yeah,
That's the
and going
sound it
back
made.
and
I
forth,
remember
and
Atari.
then you shoot it, and you got points by how many you shot. You
Yeah,
know,
my generation grew up with video games, and they've continued, and
but the
sometimes
pattern's
that's
still
okay, right?
the same.
But when it takes you away from the uh, the connections that you can have with people, most importantly, probably, well, second to connections with God, and our
And how do you find it?
it
How
can
do you
dim
find
us.
God
Yeah, you're
unless you're getting away from that phone?
it's very true. Although I do read
How
many
did you?
things on the phone that can bring me, but
Well,
it's a
yes,
matter of
and
intention. It's a matter of attention.
right, and it can be beneficial.
Yeah.
And like announcing a death of a family member can now be so easy compared to the way it was 20 years ago.
When you'd have to do a ring of calls.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, in fact, I was at your house when Jesse died, and I remember you making those calls, Elizabeth, and how difficult it was to make those calls.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
now, it's just so different. It can happen so instantaneous with Facebook and with X and so many different ways of social media to reach out, not to just a few, but
Yeah.
thousands.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't let it get, we gave over our rights. We never said, hey, Mr. Government, we want you to know where we are at all times, even when we go to the bathroom,
Which is crazy, right?
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But
I
I
mean,
can't,
maybe I did. I don't know.
we go into the grocery store with the
Yeah,
phone.
we do.
We
Yep.
go fill our tanks with gas with our phone. We go to the bank with our phone. There's not private conversations that we have that we're not being listened to. And it's like how easy it was to sell ourselves over to high tech. And now AI, learning about AI has been
Oh,
absolutely shocking to me.
yeah. People don't. Yeah. A lot of people have no idea.
Yeah.
The intelligence of AI has now superseded us.
Mm-hmm.
At least on an intellectual type level.
Yes, but the sad part is AI does not see a purpose for us. They don't understand purpose and mission.
No.
Well, it's because the collective whole doesn't understand it anymore, and so it's a reflection of us, really.
And it is. And
Yeah.
so it's time to get back to our spiritual roots.
Agreed.
And you talked about, Elizabeth, how many people have died.
Yes.
We'll just say the jab has taken a lot of people's lives.
Yes. Yep.
It's just really, it's profound how many lives have been affected recently with loss, and will get a much, much worse.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's
We have not even seen the whole of it.
no
So
there.
I,
sorry, I have two questions and I want to get them because of our limited time. And
oh,
uh,
yes.
there's
Questions
Lula.
from people out there.
Yeah,
Please reach out. What
please
would you
do.
like to ask? Sorry.
No, no, don't be sorry. I think that was necessary for us to talk about. And so, yeah, remember that it's real.
I think the
Anyway,
comment is so cool. Peapons.
yeah.
Peapons.
So here's the questions. Do our pets, or what about animals and pets who are suffering here? When you talked about the the prayers and the thoughts and visiting, and he asks about visiting animals. Do they do that? Are they
They
aware?
do.
Are they there?
Absolutely. And I heard, in fact, I heard a story just 2 days ago where a woman, you know how when you go through the light and you're going through the tunnel of light, and
Well, you two do.
she talked about it the same way I saw it, with flashes of colors going by and going through this tube, and knowing there were people next to her talking. And finally, she came to cement stairs.
Hmm.
She thought they were cement, but it was so old it looked like stone. And she said on the stairs were all these cats and dogs.
Wow.
And she said, and they were so loving and so peaceful. It was as though they were helping me with the ascension process of going into that light that was at the end of the stairs.
And they do that in life as well. They comfort and are there. It's amazing how much that they can affect our both emotional and spiritual self just by existing and being
Yeah.
there.
I, I
Um,
I actually work on animals, and I had an amazing experience with a deer that had been hit by a car.
tell us.
It was, I mean, it was couldn't get up. It was bleeding through its nose and mouth, and stopped. And it was a buck, and so it had antlers. And in fact, I had Stefan and Jesse with me. They were just little boys. And I, just slowly approached it, just, speaking through my mind, saying, it's okay. I'm here to help you. And so I went up and I just started, just giving it energy.
That can be dangerous.
After, well, I know. And so someone
Yeah.
said, that deer could put a hole in you. And I was like, it knows in fact, it leaned kind of towards me, like, because it
Mm.
knew.
Oh, asking for help.
And so, and after a couple minutes, it was able to stand up, and I'm watching the road because I knew it wanted to run, to get away. It was able to recover enough. And the guy that lived there, he was out walking in his yard, and he heard it get hit, and he came to see what was going on. So
Oh, my.
guys are looking at me like, lady, you are crazy.
Yeah. Those are antlers, and he is in that. That's yeah. That's the
And
first thing that went in my head too.
so I'm just watching the road anyway. So it gained enough strength that it jumped over a boulder, ran off into the woods, and a few days later, maybe a week or two later, my kids were out playing and they saw these deer, and this one deer stopped and looked at them. I mean, it was like he remembered them.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. They're celestial, so their intelligence is celestial, and they know gratitude.
They haven't fallen like we have.
Yeah.
There's a difference between thankfulness and gratitude, and they understand the feeling and emotion of gratitude.
So, you guys mind if I tell a quick story on that?
Sure.
So, my father had passed, and we all met up as a family for the first time in since he had died altogether. It's the first time I had seen everybody because I had COVID, so I couldn't be there when he died, or around or to the funeral.
I know. Yeah, we almost, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
for real, it was rough, and so uh, I had some angry feelings about not towards one of my family members that was petty and not even important, right? But I was probably expressing something from deeper. But anyway, so I had to drive away from the house to go get something, and I came back. But as I was driving away, it was night, and all of a sudden, this deer, and this is not the first time we had seen this deer, just to put it out there, but it stopped in the middle of the road, like straight up stopped, had no fear, had nothing.
Wow.
Directly in front of me. I had to slam on the brakes,
Wow.
and it just stood there, looking at me. And I instantly felt my father.
Wow.
And he told me, this is a time to love. This is a time to care. This is a time to connect.
Oh, that's your
I'm
dad,
not
all right.
gone.
Yep. And animals do.
And then it walked away slowly.
Yeah, animals.
Wow.
I really believe that. I know.
Yeah.
I know that animals will help convey messages.
Yeah, it absolutely
Or
changed my perspective on what. So we call him Stag Dad.
love
That's
it.
what we call him, and we've seen him a bunch of times that whole first year, probably like 6 times.
Wow.
And the first time my wife saw him, that my son and daughter saw them coming home from school, and so there was different times, and we don't live in a place necessarily that sees deer walking around all the time, but
Wow.
it was an amazing connection and surprising, because I didn't have necessarily that belief prior, but I mean, thank you for answering. That's thank you for. There's one more question.
Yes.
If I could ask. Well, I guess.
We have some questions from the audience members.
Yeah.
You guys participate.
Yeah, we do.
Call us.
Can you tell us more about? I think we talked about this once before, but the flower in your book that you connected with.
Very much. Flowers are the fullest potential. They reach their fullest potential in the blossom. And so on the other side, there is no stem.
Wow.
The leaves even can be a part of that rose, because all of it is reached its fullest spiritual potential. And they're there to teach us about eternity. And the one rose, it was kind of like a rose, but it wasn't. I don't know how to describe it. If there was a description between maybe an iris and a rose, that would be it.
Wow.
It was so beautiful. And I remember my grandmother passing this flower floating in the palms of her hand. And she passed it into my hands. And I remember looking at it, and the moment that I did, my spirit went into it.
Wow.
And the flower had this loving intelligence that pulled me into it to teach me about sacred geometry.
Mm.
And notice I said sacred geometry, because geometry does not have to be addressed in an analytical way. If you look at the earth and you look at everything in the earth, there is a sacred mathematics.
Mhm.
And
All things denote that there is God. That God is.
and they all sing and praise his name.
Mhm.
The Alpha and the Omega is God, the beginning and the end. And you have this time when a person passes. What do we always do traditionally?
With funerals,
What do we do at funerals?
there's a line that you walk down that is almost mortifying sometimes, and they talk and they say sorry and condole and have condolences.
We have tons of flowers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we do.
We bring flowers to the gravesite.
Mm-hmm.
It's because flowers have an intelligence of comfort and peace.
Mm.
And it always denotes comfort and peace.
I love that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So when we give that flower, that's what we're giving, is that message of comfort, joy, and peace.
He asks, was it male or female?
The flower,
Yeah.
definitely female.
Okay.
For me, it was female. The trees that I met were definitely male, and definitely had voices, different voices. And that's something that they've learned with trees as well, is when the trees knock against each other, they're actually making music
Wow.
because of their trunks and the years that have passed, and the different types of wood make different sounds. So it is a literal orchestra when you're in a forest.
That's beautiful. Elizabeth, did you have something that you
Well, the thing
that you felt to say?
about plants, I read the Sourcefield Investigations by Michael Wilcox, and he tells about the man who invented the polygraph machine. And he accidentally discovered, well, actually, he wanted to see if plants would respond, and they do. They respond just like people do. They have screaming energy, but he accidentally discovered that when he accidentally killed some bacteria in his sink, and the plants did screaming energy. So when the something was killed, the plants responded. And then what he discovered is if you ate even vegetables or fruit, the plants would scream unless it was blessed.
Unless it was given a prayer, you are correct.
It was blessed, then the plants didn't scream.
So he
Then
connected
it
these.
self-sacrifices.
So he connected these sensors
Yeah.
to the plants and did that. Like, so I need to look that up. That's really cool. So
You want to hear another study that was just so profound? The
yeah,
government did a test on 300 soldiers. And what they did is they took blood from each soldier and wiped it on a petri dish and put it in a lab and put electrodes up to all the petri dishes.
Wow.
And though they were thousands of miles on the other side of the planet fighting a war,
That their blood's connected to them.
exactly, the emotion of fear and joy registered thousands of miles apart.
like the saliva in the navel.
They kept the cell alive, and until they had each soldier come home and give permission to destroy those petri dishes.
Wow. That's amazing.
But that was literally hard to believe for me. It just blew me away when I heard that study, that one cell of ours can have such a profound feeling of us so far away.
Yeah.
So when we die, there's a process of needing to know where the person is buried. Notice that we need that finality of that sacred place. I don't care where you are in the world. Death is always, and where the person is put, is always been considered a sacred place.
Yes.
And so the eclipse actually represents a death of a oldness and a beginning of a newness.
Wow.
That's how the eclipse has always been viewed traditionally over thousands of years, is that we have always considered eclipse very sacred. And how we look at it will make all the difference in a change in our world and our lives personally. And it's cool because it's, how many years does it take before we see the next one?
In this case, it won't pass over America again until what's that, 2046 or something? 2044?
I think it's 45.
45? Oh, well, I just wanted to get the numbers next to it.
Yeah, if you do, look it up, because even in the numbers, there's an interesting, everything that we experience is not coincidental. There is meaning behind everything, even the numbers, the dates, the times.
Yes.
No man knoweth how does the scripture go when Christ returns? No man knoweth
the
hour
or the day
Yeah.
that he will. That it's hour or day.
But nobody ever said year,
Yeah. Yep.
because it is in the scriptures exactly what has to happen for and what has to occur for his return.
Yep.
Now, hour, place, time, and date, no, Not even God himself knows that. Do you know why? Because it's up to us.
Because I was going to say because of our free agency.
Yeah.
We have to pray for his return.
Mm-hmm.
Things have to get that bad for us to begin to pray for his return?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
We all forget. I do. I have to remind myself every time I go to bed that as I lay myself down to sleep, do not let me forget to pray for you to return, is what I always say when I lay my head down. Don't let me forget. Do not let me go to sleep without praying for your return.
Mm-hmm.
Because I yearn to feel you and see you again.
And to prepare it, I'm always praying, guide me in my preparations.
Or help me to know how to help someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We're here to help each other. And that's that cell phone disconnects us and computer disconnects us. It can do beautiful things like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But it can also disconnect us if we get distracted.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't forget to go enjoy the flowers.
Yeah.
Everyone. And Elizabeth, what a sacred and beautiful time for you. I'm so excited to hear in a week's time how the funeral went and how your mother's doing.
Well, we're not going to have the funeral until May 4th. So.
Oh, really?
Because there's so many that live far away like I do, and we want to give people a chance to be able to make preparations to come. Yeah. There are a lot of grandchildren, as you can imagine.
Yeah, 10 kids. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a thought.
Yeah.
So so we want to give everyone a chance to be able to make arrangements and get here, because there's many that live far away.
And a lot of hummus that has to be made.
Yes.
That's an Armenian thing. She makes a killer hummus. I crave it all the time. I think, how can I blackmail Elizabeth into making me some hummus?
Blackmail me. We just
forget the chips or the bread. Just give me the spoon.
Yeah.
She is a very talented cook.
That's awesome.
So we all have these gifts.
Potatoes, the au gratin, or the
really?
they call them funeral potatoes.
Yes.
Around where I live. So,
yep.
You can count on it. The funeral potatoes.
Yep.
Tater tots, sour cream, and what is it? Cheese.
Just graduation celebration, I did an Armenian shish kebab meal. I did shish kebab and
nice.
And baklava, and it was.
Oh, she does a killer baklava too.
Now I'm hungry.
Oh,
it was so good.
She knows how to cook. This woman knows how to cook. So that's. Any other questions?
There was. Just a follow-up on the flowers singing. Do they continue to sing in heaven?
Continuously. Never ends. It's an eternal song. Different types of songs, but it's one eternal round of just music. Everywhere you go, it's different. Beautiful. Like when you see waterfalls in a garden, you can hear, and this is what Julius taught, is he took me to a waterfall and sat me still, and he said, shh, because I kept talking to him.
You talk? Wow.
He's like, just listen.
Just listen. And I said, well, what am I listening to? It's beautiful, but what am I listening to? And he said, do you not hear the orchestra in the water?
Wow.
Don't you hear the chimes of the sound of each drop?
Wow.
Listen to the song. They'll sing to you.
How amazing.
That is amazing.
Finally, I shut up, which was rare. By the way, I can attest to you, I do have a crazy eye. I didn't realize it was so bad. So for all of you, I had to ask my mother because that was the only way I could get the courage.
Uh-huh.
And she said, "Yeah, you have a lazy eye. It rolls back in your head all the time." I said, "Why didn't somebody tell me?" For crying out
Yeah, you
loud.
just start looking like, yeah.
So it's not that I'm bored with hearing you guys talk. It's just I have this crazy eye.
That's when you know you're getting through to her, is when she's got that crazy eye. So the last question that has been asked is, what do our loved ones who have passed do with their free time when they
Oh my
aren't visiting us?
goodness.
Don't say free time.
Yeah, what free time?
No.
None. They,
Mm.
gosh, Elizabeth, do you want to tell them, or because there's so
No,
much to say?
I just know Jesse is very, very busy, and they tend to be very, very busy over there.
They answer prayers for other family members. They go and teach. They learn themselves. It's an ongoing remembrance because you have to get all that memory back slowly. You can't inundate the spirit. I mean, I felt overloaded with just the little bit I got, but you have a download, when you get over there.
It's pending. There's that circle going on for a while. The thinking circle when you get downloading something.
It's just amazing because creation continues to happen there too.
Mm-hmm.
Is you're always in the process of creation.
What type of creation?
Oh, everything, you name it. Anything that's eternal. When you think of a farmer planting a crop, what does he pray on his crops, right?
Yeah.
Let it be successful. Well,
Yeah.
angels are there helping it to be successful.
And they
It's
have
a
charge.
creation.
They have charge over his people.
Yep, there's a process, and those angels are in that process of creation as they are helping that farmer. They're learning, which is happening with, and we should all be against this. So they're still looking for the God particle with the Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The bosom.
It starts up tonight,
Bosom.
and it's just to try to get the God particle because you would think with all they've done that they've been able to achieve it. No, and there's a very powerful reason that you won't be able to capture a God particle. You can't make science work in spirituality. I mean, you can, but you can't because we are all an apostolic mind. We're all together in this spiritual awakening, this spiritual growth of all things. We are the particle. We are a part of that particle. Mm-hmm. I remember Julius also teaching me that they were always able to grow, which still shocks me to this day. You go down to the Resland. Have you guys ever been down there?
I have
Has anyone been down there? It's out in the desert and hot sand, and yet they've got corn growing out in the desert.
Wow, yeah.
But what they do is they take each seed in their mouth and they give it the DNA in their mouth and say a prayer as they put the seed into the ground.
Awesome.
And as long as they keep doing it, and the great creator that came gave them a stick and told them exactly the depth to put the seed in. And ironically, it's where the groundwater is.
Wow. That's
but
very,
it took thousands of years to find the science on that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
but there's something huge about us putting our spit into the old farmers used to spit into a whole bunch of grains of wheat.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Remember that?
Completely sanitary.
And then they would put it into the ground and say, let it spread.
Yeah. That's amazing. The spiritual nature of the world around us can be seen if we desire it, right? And we have to look for the hand of God. We have to look for how he touches the world. Oh, it's a doggy!
Yeah, sorry guys. Speaking of animals, this is. Do you
Oh,
remember? You remember the dogs that I had, the
Uh,
white
oh,
schnauzers,
you're asking
Elizabeth?
her.
you.
So Danny went and got another schnauzer, and
Oh,
he's been
oh,
sitting there licking my legs.
oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, he's
So
praying for you like the seeds, licking you and trying to get you to grow.
take him outside.
Yeah. Oh, that okay. That's a
He's going,
little
I
more
have
level.
bodily needs. Anyway,
Well,
so do we have any other questions from anyone?
I am very happy,
Really?
Elizabeth, that you came, and I want to give you an opportunity now to, if there's anything you want to express this day, this very important day for you and your family, to the
Uh,
world
yeah,
and to yeah.
I I know that we are never alone. I wrote a book after Jesse's graduation called Heart So Big because of his enlarged heart that that took him. And the what I learned through that journey is, um, the real message of my book is that we are never alone, even when we don't realize. Because oftentimes we don't know what we need as much as God does, but God
All the time.
is always giving us what we need, even if we don't know to ask. And they're always there, always aware, always loving us.
And
And
always
we will
pray
be
for
too
someone
when we
else.
go.
Mhm.
So
That's
often we remember to pray for ourselves, but we forget to pray for others as well.
Yeah.
Always be mindful. I make it a goal, at least for me. I mean, I'm so imperfect. I really am. I need a lot of prayers. Um,
and dog licking your leg so you can grow.
huh. But I'm always praying for someone else.
Yes. And we are, in fact, there's a book called, I think, I don't remember, the Power of Blessing, or written by a Frenchman. And he talks about the power of praying for others. And the story that really stood out in my mind about that was told in that book was a young man who had been injured and was waiting in the emergency room. And as he sat there, he just prayed for all the other people in the emergency room. And by the time it was his turn, he was healed
Are
through
you serious?
praying
Wow,
for everybody else.
that's
There's
amazing.
there's a spiritual process that happens when you pray and meditate on God, and it's real and it's there, and that's how I experience Him.
Well, and we're all connected. We're all one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we aren't alone.
Oh,
We think we are. I feel alone sometimes. I get lonely.
mm-hmm.
But then I take that moment and I go, oh, wait, am I?
Yeah.
Because somebody always, without fail, calls me. It doesn't mean I pick it up, but somebody calls.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you guys, that I shut down.
That's okay. And we love you, and I send messages through other ways too. When I think
Yeah,
about that, and I sometimes have those impressions, and I want to follow them, and so
my kids are funny. They say, Mom, if I ever went to prison, I know I'd never get a letter from you or a call. So you don't be thinking that you're
don't
the
go to
one.
prison.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said.
But if you do, there's redemption.
I'm a flyer. I can't help it.
Well,
I'm fight or flight. I fly.
Yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead, Elizabeth.
Oh, just thank you so much for inviting me to join in this conversation. It's been such a pleasure.
I hope so, Elizabeth. You know how much I love you.
Yes, and I love you.
I love you. Elizabeth was literally a savior for me when my ex-husband left me and didn't know how I was going to exist. And she put my foot on the path and helped me to get walking. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth, because you did that, and she was able to keep going. Years later, she met me and changed my life and
No, he
healed.
changed my life. His family changed my life.
That's awesome. I
There
love.
was a there was a block, and it was God that healed it, but used Renelle
Mm-hmm.
to heal me, and so I am grateful. And I just barely met you, but I'll say I love you
Oh, I
because
love you, Mike.
oh, I love you
Always.
too.
I always say that. No one came to see me after the house fire. They were like, that can't be true.
Oh yeah,
They didn't believe
it's
it.
impossible. I mean,
There's no way they're talking about that other one.
yeah, it
Wait a
must
minute, or
be.
the one before that.
I came. I'll
But he came and he saved me. He gave me a pillow. As anyone slept on those pillows at the emergency room,
oh yeah,
they're
they're
awful. They're like paper.
Oh, yes.
The doctor says, "Are you comfortable?" And I pulled out a piece of paper, and it was the pillow. I don't know. Does that look comfortable? But Elizabeth,
thank
what a
you for your
beautiful
smart
time.
aleck comment. That's what they're thinking. But hey,
Yeah, that's totally what they were thinking.
yeah.
But oh
But
well.
hey, you gotta. I think humor and sometimes sarcasm is
Helps.
is a can help.
In
So
my
anyway,
way, Elizabeth, I wanted you to come on tonight because I have nothing to give but my heart, and I was hoping that somehow this would bring you some comfort.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's it's always a blessing to be able to share and to participate with, especially people that I love so much. So,
And you've done so much for me, and I owe you so much. I owe you so much, Mike. So I want you to know that I really wanted you to come on and feel the love that people have for your work and for what you do. That you have touched so many people's lives. If anyone wants to get a hold of her, we will put her name down below to reach her for any healing work that you would like to do with Body Talk. You're still doing that, right, Elizabeth?
yeah, and I have a AO scanner that I use and love. I've been using that recently.
Oh, that is so
so
cool.
what's the
Who
most
knows?
preferred way, Elizabeth, for them to get a hold of you if they
Um,
want to do that?
so text me at 801-361-1616, and just
Okay.
text your name and say that you'd like a session, because my phone, the way it came is it won't ring for an unrecognized number. So if you text first, then I can call you back.
Yeah, that I experienced that earlier today.
And if you want to reach out to me on Facebook, or you can find us here and post below. I do hypnotherapy and counseling, and the kind of hypnotherapy that I do is very life changing.
Yes, yes,
It
powerful.
was for me, and it's a tool. It's not the thing that heals us, but it's a tool for us to be able to connect and be healed by.
Well, and combined with your gifts, Renelle, it's just
Yeah, that's very true.
so powerful. You are so powerful.
You mean besides the gift of the lazy eye and talking too much?
Hey, I love those things about you. So, yeah,
And it's
but
So
such a gift to get to know you, Mike. I really, really have appreciated being able to get to know you tonight.
agreed. We I'm blessed to be able to meet you. So I will
we'll see
put
everyone on the other side.
we will, and one more second, I will put the information that they just repeated into the comments. So Lula, you can see it there. I'll put the number again, so you can have that. And remember, send a text, and she will get back to you. She kind of explains that in the message anyway, so you're probably
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
If you call, my message says, please text me.
Yeah.
Or if you're interested in having a session, I am doing a big eclipse special this month. Your first session is free.
What?
Yeah, that's a
Hey,
$200
how
gift.
do I get a hold of you?
Wow.
Because I want a free session.
Do you want one? I will do it for you, Mike.
You know what?
Elizabeth, same with you.
Yeah, let's
It
get
is
together.
good.
You and
Yeah, let's get together. Let's
And,
do
you
it,
know,
Elizabeth.
much love and love everyone out there. You're great. Enjoy the eclipse. Feel God's presence and remember Him, because that's how we turn the bad things into good.
And when you see the sun returning, remember,
It's a
he's
birth.
returning now.
hmm
If you look at the years, this is the time. This is that date, I should say, year.
Yeah.
Years ahead of us are very much at hand.
Yeah. Things are going to change in ways that we won't understand, and some ways we will see. So it's going to be. I think it's go time.
Yes,
It
it is.
It is.
Yeah.
If you study the planets and the Earth, you'll learn that the sun is going to be doing an interesting magnetic shift for us. So we're going to go through a pole shift, which is going to change our bodies and change the physical Earth as we know it. And that's happening faster than you know.
hmm
They're figuring by 2040 scientifically is when that pole shift is going to happen. It literally causes the Earth to change its diagonal shift.
Which
So,
naturally would change everything on Earth.
Very,
yes, everything.
very.
So get ready, guys.
So see you on the other side.
Boom.
Thank
We'll see you
you.
there.
Oh, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.